Mr. Jaitley, welcome to Frankly Speaking. It's
Thank
great to see you again. Second time you're on the show and at a very topical time, Mr. Jaitley. So we'll keep it straight and simple. We want answers from you on how you're looking at the pre and post poll situation. There is a sense that the NDA with the BJP at the epicenter is thoroughly unprepared, both as an NDA as a cohesive formation and the BJP itself for this election.
Well, I don't think that's correct. It's not correct for the reason that before the 5 state assembly elections were held, where we won Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh and lost in 2, everybody was suggesting that Congress is on the back foot. And the likelihood was that the Congress may lose 3 or 4. Now, Congress got a slight lease of life because they won Rajasthan essentially because of our default and Delhi. I don't think the complexion in the country's polity has changed. All NDA partners, slowly but surely, and I'm saying this with some sense of confidence, are moving in the direction of seat sharing. There is no problem which is insurmountable in any state. We've at least tried to get 3 more allies. It's true that the size of the NDA compared to 2003,
It's shrunk. It's really shrunk.
But then we've started expanding it. We've already got an ally in Haryana, we've got one in Assam, we are probably getting another one in UP. And then we have problem states. And the problem is essentially because of Bengal, where we aren't strong, and because of the position which 2 non-Congress parties have adopted in Andhra Pradesh and Tamil Nadu.
Mr. Jaitley, now you mentioned 3 states, Haryana, Assam and UP. Now, Haryana and the small states in terms of the Lok Sabha, they contribute some 20 seats and you probably can't win more than 10 or 12 of them. Uttar Pradesh seems to be going Mayawati's way, so that's not giving you the numbers.
I am on the UP proposition, I'm disputing that strongly.
You can dispute, but my question was not of numbers. My question is the signals you're sending out. Sharad Yadav said the BJP is a Baba party. Now, this is coming from one of the principal leaders of this umbrella NDA formation. He says, what do I say about the BJP? They have all sort of Babas in their party. The parliament is a place where farmers, workers, unemployment and women's issues are discussed. But the BJP has different Babas sitting in the Lok Sabha saying Jai Shri Ram. And now you're saying Jai Shri Ram even more.
Well, I think...
Wasn't this a huge embarrassment for you?
I had reacted to this statement. It's a statement which should never have been made. And I have 2 things to say. First of all, you don't have the kind of sadhus and swamis in the Lok Sabha as you conventionally thought you did. In fact, if you recollect, today, as far as the BJP is concerned, let's be clear on facts. There is only one from Gorakhpur who's a member. Secondly, I went on record and said, it would be happier for India if it didn't have criminals in the Lok Sabha and in the state.
But the issue was not of Babas. The issue was not of whether you have religious figures. The issue was of Sharad Yadav. Well, I think saying this about the BJP.
Well, you'll find people in the UPA also making all kinds of loose statements which are capable
of... Look at Shekhawat's comments. Advani may be PM candidate, but others too can contest Lok Sabha polls. He's not the only one contesting elections. Age-wise, I am the senior most, when asked if he had congratulated Advani when he was nominated the candidate, he said, I did not even know. See, an 86-year-old senior leader of the BJP makes this...
Surely a gentleman who retired from the BJP upon becoming the Vice President of India 7 years ago, if he says something, you can't attribute it as a statement which shows the NDA is in bad shape.
But you're a cricket fanatic, I know that. And the cricketing jargon for this would be that you have the captaincy questioned by his own teammates. And that's the sense one is getting of all this.
In the cricketing jargon, the former cricketers have a lot of leeway in commenting about the present team. And therefore, if somebody who retired from the BJP 7 years ago, before becoming the Vice President of India, makes a comment, how does that affect the health of the NDA?
It doesn't matter if he says the BJP is doomed, Vasundhara must be jailed,
well,
irrelevant.
Well, I'm sorry, he has a problem as far as Rajasthan is concerned, and I'm glad he's realized, and he's been very restrained in his comments in the last 1 month at least.
Okay. Now there is the whole issue of leadership. Who is the leader? Is Advani the right prime ministerial candidate? Now, should it be Modi? And I know, Mr. Jaitley, you will brush away the entire issue, but it is a fact. And it has become a huge issue of late. The Modi versus Advani issue.
I don't think it's an issue within the NDA. I don't think it's an issue in the BJP. it's an attractive subject to write on, and therefore if media writes on it and recognizes the merits of Modi, we are very happy about it. But as far as the party is concerned, even as friends and supporters and also admiring the kind of governance he's provided to Gujarat is concerned, but notwithstanding that, Mr. Advani is the leader, and Mr. Modi is, as strongly as I am, a privy to that decision.
No, but Mr. Jaitley, you are not right on that fact, because it is not only the others who are commenting post Modi's major show of strength in which he got all the industrialists to come in, and Sunil Bharti Mittal said, if he can be such a chief minister, why can't he be prime minister?
Well, it's a proud moment for the BJP if the industry feels that. If eminent people in public life and business life feel that, to say that he's prime ministerial material, then why should the BJP be embarrassed about it?
My question to you is, why does Rajnath Singh not feel that way? Let me quote Rajnath Singh, taking a swipe at Narendra Modi. When asked about surveys that claimed the Gujarat chief minister was the most popular leader in the BJP, Rajnath said, and I quote, according to a nationwide survey, he may have been the most popular leader of the party, but remember, the survey was done in 2004. And our party lost in those elections and we were unable to form the government. Well, I am not in a position to say anything more.
Well, I don't think,
I think the
whole statement which was reported in one of the newspapers, this has been only reported by one newspaper. I cross-checked with him. As far as Narendra Modi's ability is concerned, Narendra Modi's governance of Gujarat is concerned, all of us, including Mr. Rajnath Singh, are all praised for him. But the fact is, when you say somebody is prime ministerial material, you don't have to necessarily say that today instead of Mr. Advani, he should be the candidate.
No, not today.
Certainly Mr. Modi is a very powerful leader of the party. But as of today, Mr. Advani is our candidate.
I'll ask you a straight question, sir, and you give me a frank answer. Is there a leadership issue or not in the second round? Because, you see, Mr. Advani is in his 80s. Yes, he's the prime ministerial candidate, but there is a serious leadership issue that is being sort of right now, swept under the carpet, there's a sort of a camouflage put over it, or there's a hush campaign, there's a hush campaign saying, let's not talk about it now.
No,
but there
that's
is
not the
between, and they say it is between Sushma Swaraj, Venkaiah Naidu, Rajnath Singh, Arun Jaitley, Narendra Modi, and one or two others.
Well, I think your question is correct, and your question requires to be answered. If the leadership of the BJP was to be determined on the basis of who's a favorite of Mr. Advani or who belongs to a particular family where dynasty decides leadership, there'll be no leadership issue. But if the leadership issue eventually is decided in the next generation on the strength of merit, on the strength of your ability to lead the party, you'll always have a galaxy of leaders, which is a product of the meritocracy system. And till the final leader is chosen, this will be a matter of public debate, but I can assure you that's how things should be. The fact that BJP has a galaxy of leaders chosen on the strength of merit, and one of them will be the first amongst the equals, will be a proud moment for us.
Who is that?
I don't know as of today, but I can tell you, Arun, since you've asked this question.
Yes.
How does Congress select its leaders? The Congress and many other political parties select their leaders. You are so-and-so's son. Either he's retired or unfortunately he's no more. Therefore, you become a leader or a youth leader overnight. I have called this category of leaders as the Vansh Bhogis. They belong to a particular family. Yes. They enjoy the benefits of that surname.
Yes.
And therefore, they enjoy the benefits of that surname and therefore of that Vansh. In any party, which is a structured party, be it the CPM, be it the BJP, you'll have a Mr. Modi or a Mr. Karath. You'll have a Sushma Swaraj or a Brinda Karat who worked.
Sorry, but you have enough dynasties in the BJP.
I'll tell you, you may have
first generation dynasties.
Some MLA's son becoming an MLA. You may have
Vasundhara's son, sir.
But that's all right. You may have stray cases. But the national and the state leadership of the party doesn't get decided on any one of these issues.
Mr. Jaitley, with great erudition and with all the language at your command, you have brilliantly swerved away from the issue. The question, which was about the leadership issue in the BJP, and you made it an issue of how the Congress selects its leader.
No, the answer is, in any structured party which selects its leaders on the basis of merit, there will always be a debate who will be the future leader of the party.
Are there murmur campaigns on this or not?
There is no murmur campaign. That situation has not arisen. There is no issue. There is no crisis. And I think we are willing to live with each other. Some of us have the best relations with each other.
Are you a potential leader or not yourself, Mr. Jaitley, after Mr. Advani?
Well, I am one of the key people in the BJP, but eventually who will be the final leader? I have neither a claim to it, nor do I have any knowledge of it. When the situation comes, the party will decide. They'll decide on one, the others will elect.
Will you take their support to make Mr. Advani Prime Minister?
Well, I have told you, I don't see that possibility arising. But at the same time, the power of anti-Congressism in this country will be seen both before and after the results.
Let's go on to issues. Now, isn't it true or not that after 26/11, this whole argument which you thought this election will be fought around, soft state argument, boomeranged on you? That Delhi was this huge realization.
No question.
No, that the issue is dead, and hence you were left issueless almost in a way, which is why you are now tottering back to Hindutva.
Well, let's be very clear. First of all, the issue of terrorism was raised by us, not because we wanted to raise a political issue. It was raised by us because we are a nationalist party, and the issue of protecting the country and the nation's security is paramount as far as our agenda is concerned.
Okay.
Now, 26/11 was a very sad, very condemnable incident that happened. At least I could have had some satisfaction that the Congress, whose lapse and error for 4.5 years was proved, had to turn around and accept some part of what we have been saying all along. And therefore, while legislating, while saying that we want a better...
But the Congress ran ahead of you. They went ahead with the legislation. They put pressure on Pakistan.
Well,
they got Pakistan to acknowledge its role, none of which has ever happened in India time before.
I don't think India, on both the issues, one, the legislation. India is not so naive that Congress, which for 4.5 years told the whole country, we don't need a special law to deal with terror, after the Mumbai attack now says, all right, we'll have some half-hearted law. That is not going to befool India. Two, as far as Pakistan is concerned, the Congress thinks that its foreign policy has been very successful. I think it's a very challenging situation for two reasons. One, Pakistan is making simultaneous efforts to internationalize Kashmir. The British Foreign Secretary's visit to India is
But you are allowing them to do that, sir.
Sorry.
So, but you are allowing them to do
We
that.
don't allow them to do that. Let me just complete. Second, when now the proposed charge sheet says Pakistani officials are also involved in this whole exercise of organizing these attacks, and that's the first indication which is coming in. Do you seriously expect these foreign policy initiatives which accept everything that Pakistan says and Pakistan's internal investigations to own up the role of ISI and the army?
But Mr. Jaitley, you are constantly denigrating this initiative. What has the BJP done? Allow me to. The BJP has only given more ammunition at every opportunity to the Pakistani claims.
Sorry.
Narendra Modi's remark, which is said to be uncalled for at that point of time, talking about whether this evidence would be admissible in our court, a rhetorical point quickly lapped up by Pakistan Prime Minister Gilani, followed by constant reminder.
Narendra Modi's comment was a correct comment. The BJP's pressure on this government resulted in one, the law being legislated. Two, when the government said, we will not allow confessions to be made admissible in India, Narendra Modi's point was, and it's not Narendra Modi's point, it's the point I raised in Parliament, that when you don't allow confessions to be admitted in Indian law, how do you expect Pakistan to accept
But Mr. Jaitley, it was a complete contradiction of what Mr. Advani had said on the floor of the House when he spoke about Pandavs and Kauravs being united.
Sorry, we
when
are
faced
united.
with the crisis.
How
did that change?
We are united behind a government which takes action.
No.
But to be united behind a government which goes weak on action would be unfair to India.
Would it not be a natural surmise to say, Mr. Jaitley, that what happened was in the aftermath of 26/11, you were not prepared to look divided, but it would work against you. And later when you saw that you are not getting votes anymore on the soft state issue, hence you started putting questions.
That post 26/11 situation is that we've put pressure on our government to change policy. And secondly, even today, the government is not willing to run the full distance.
No, but Mr. Jaitley, give me a clear answer why. Mr. Advani and then Mr. Narendra Modi in two separate events, 6 days apart, constantly started asking questions that could have come from the Pakistani establishment.
There's no question of that kind.
No,
These are questions which are germane and relevant to any Indian investigation.
The question is, instead of focusing on the Pakistan hand, constantly Mr. Advani and Mr. Narendra Modi, Mr. Advani in his reply to Parliament, talking about what is the India hand, are there elements inside,
Let's be
and the
very
matter
clear.
being reiterated
Let's
by
be
Mr.
very
Modi.
clear.
What's the idea,
I
sir?
think we need to be a mature society. It's obvious that these attacks are planned in Pakistan. It's obvious that the ammunition came from Pakistan. At the same time, while that is happening, you can't rule out that some element of logistical support also comes from some locals. And therefore, if you try and be unfair and put the truth below the carpet, the real truth will never come out.
But what should be the focus on? The Pakistan's role?
The focus should be on
the masterminds in Pakistan, or some minions probably helping or not helping?
Focus should be on the truth. And the truth is, the Pakistanis organized this attack. And if there is some collaboration that some individuals had in terms of logistical support, the whole truth must come out.
So are you putting a religious dimension to this issue or not? Are you putting a communal dimension
Where's
to it?
the question of a religious dimension?
When you talk about internal factors...
There is no question at all. If there is an internal factor, it must come out. If there is none, I'll be a proud Indian.
No, because when you spoke about the internal factor, that when Mr. Advani and Mr. Modi spoke about the internal factor, it comes suspiciously at the same time.
Why must we assume that?
Suspiciously at the same time when the BJP starts talking about the Ram temple issue all over again with more aggressiveness.
I am afraid you are reading too much into it. Supposing there is an LTTE strike in India, does it have a religious dimension to it? Supposing there is a Maoist strike somewhere in some state, is there a religious strife to it? Terrorism may be inspired in some cases because of religion, but fighting terror is not a religious act, it's an act of the state.
But you are giving a legal answer to a political question. My question was political, that is there an attempt to put a communal dimension?
There is no question at all. The softness towards terror was because of vote bank politics. The emphasis on being hard on terror is actually a negation of religious factor being brought in.
And you do not feel that you are giving Pakistan ammunition by continuously harping on internal factors, internal support.
We have been consistently one with this government, in fact louder than this government, in saying that these attacks were engineered in Pakistan, and your foreign policy will not result in Pakistan telling you what the ISI and the Pakistan military officials had in this involvement.
Mr. Jaitley, another issue which has been found to be surprising has been Mr. Narendra Modi's unusual aggression and the use of aquatic words. It's become a fish market verbal debate, it's now been said, after he started describing Rahul Gandhi as a fish in an aquarium and himself and others as wild flowers. What is the whole idea? Do you think Mr. Narendra Modi, there are two options. Mr. Narendra Modi is trying to position himself vis-a-vis Rahul Gandhi and hence make this a Narendra Modi-Rahul Gandhi debate like he's made a Sonia Gandhi-Narendra Modi debate in the past, centered it entirely around himself, which suits his own political ambition. That's possibility one. Possibility two, the BJP is seriously worried about the vote-catching impact of the young Gandhi and feels that it is best to unleash Narendra Modi on him.
No question.
At this stage.
I think you're again reading too much into something which is only incidental. For the reason, first of all, I think when Mr. Narendra Modi used those expressions, at least people like you should have appreciated it, because this is use of quality expression to make a political point. And Indian media normally does appreciate this. But at the same
Mr.
time,
Modi doesn't make a statement without thinking it through.
No, I think it was a well thought of statement and it was a very good statement.
What's the thinking?
Secondly, by that comparison, he just stated a larger point that I was making. I don't think it's a personal attack on anybody. How does the youth leadership and the new leadership of the political parties emerges? Does it emerges by fighting your way through the system and takes 20, 30 years to emerge it? Or you are just having a protected upbringing, because you are born in a family, you overnight get catapulted to a political position. That's a larger point he was making. When I said, should the youth leaders of this country be only vanchbogis coming from a family, or should they have struggled for 30 years before acquiring a stature of a leader? That's the larger point when he said fish in an aquarium and fish in an ocean. I think it was a nice expression which drove home the point. It hurt. It was not a personal attack, it's a political point, and I think media should be liberal enough in appreciating the use of expression, and it's a powerful political point.
I have two follow-up questions to that. Firstly, you had more aggression towards Sonia Gandhi in the last, even Mr. Modi, in the last election, it boomeranged on the BJP. It just didn't work. That's my first question. Second question is that, do you find it interesting that Narendra Modi kept the focus on himself and other BJP chief ministers, but in speaking about generation next of the BJP did not mention any of say, Arun Jaitley or any of the other leaders of the BJP at the center?
Well, I don't think he mentioned himself also. It was a comment on a system. Secondly, when you say making comments on individuals, I think we are trying to follow a policy where we will speak on issues. And Narendra Modi spoke on an issue. The issue may have a pointer to certain individuals. But it's not a personal attack, it's a political attack. You can attack me on a particular point concerning my politics. It's not a personal attack on me. And I think Narendra Modi was perfectly entitled to do so. He was making precisely this point: how does leadership in politics evolve? By the fortunate experience of being in a family or by struggling your way up? And I think it's a legitimate political point he made.
I have a few quick questions, sir. I want a yes or no answer from you, which will clarify, because they say that in this election, that there will be a situation where there will be a lot of contenders for prime ministership. You'll have a greater khichdi than before, and there'll be a scramble. In that case, are you in a position to give me yes or no replies on who you will tie up with Mr. Jaitley, or who is a political untouchable for you? What about Mayawati? Because what about Mayawati?
I will give you a general reply.
No, you're avoiding the question.
No, I will give you a specific reply.
No, I want to ask you, Mr. Jaitley, before I ask you the question, I at least got you to smile. Before I ask you the question, why are you avoiding an answer?
Well, I wanted to answer. You smiled and prevented an answer.
No,
my answer to the question is, I don't see that possibility arising at all.
No.
I don't see that possibility arising. But at the same time, let me mention one thing. This election, both pre-election and post-election, will see the power of anti-Congressism in this country.
So again,
also.
you're avoiding the question.
No, I have answered your question. You asked me about the BSP. I have said no.
Will you take their support to make Mr. Advani Prime Minister?
Well, I have told you I don't see that possibility arising. But at the same time, the power of anti-Congressism in this country will be seen both before and after the results.
So that's what you, in other words, you are saying if required, we'll support the BSP or the BSP will support us to keep the Congress out.
I have said no to that answer, but there are a large number of non-Congress groups which are away from us today. But at the same time, the compulsion of their own state politics. I am not going to discuss strategy on television, even before the first vote is cast or the campaign has begun. But there is a huge power in the anti-Congressism.
Tell me, sir, Mr. Jaitley, are you in touch with UPA allies or not at this stage? I mean, give me a yes or no reply to this one.
Where is the question of our being in touch with UPA allies? Well, certainly if there are allies who can be a part of the NDA umbrella, we are in touch with them, we'll be in touch with them. But if somebody is a part of the UPA, there's no question of my being in touch with them.
Except, with the exception of your supporting the Congress or taking the support of the left, everything is possible in this election.
Well, according to me, there are certain groups which are identified against our politics in states. The RJD is identified against us. The Samajwadi Party is identified against us. Therefore, the question of entering into an alliance or a coalition with them doesn't arise.
You haven't answered my question on Mayawati.
Well, I have said no already. I have said no once again. And I think now you should accept the answer as no. In UP, we are going to oppose her strongly tooth and nail.
Post-election?
Well, post-election, I don't see that possibility being necessary or that possibility arising. And the maximum that I can see, there are several non-Congress political groups. The compulsions of their states will attract them to the NDA.
That's very carefully worded. Mr. Arun Jaitley, thank you very much for speaking to me on Frankly Speaking. Thank you so much.